Coca-Cola is the world's favourite soft drink brand. More than 2 billion servings are sold every day.
As soon as you walk in, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 places you can buy Coke.
All that Coke means billions of single-use cans and plastic bottles.
Coca-Cola don't clean up the rubbish that they're profiting from.
Coke suggests that recycled bottles can become new bottles, again and again and again.
The imagined future where we can break the laws of physics and somehow get one bottle turning into another bottle, that doesn't exist.
Producing Coca-Cola is thirsty work, requiring billions of litres of water. But for those living near Coke's bottling plants, the taps can run dry.
It's around 8 a.m. There's no water again.
Are Coca-Cola's environmental promises what they say on the tin? Or are they just a load of sugary fizz?
My name's Ellie Flynn, and I am a Coke addict. I feel like it's just so unique. There's nothing else that tastes like Coke. It's the perfect pick-me-up at about 3 p.m. when I'm feeling sluggish, and I love it. And I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I'm a Coke addict. Total Coke addict. Coca-Cola addict.
Yeah, I was going to say.
See, even our Prime Minister is a self-declared Coca-Cola superfan.
Coca-Cola isn't just a drink, it's an empire. It has dominated the drinks market for over 130 years.
Just feel how cold that bottle is.
Well, I declare.
It's built this global dominance with a multi-billion-pound marketing spend, selling fun,
Diet Coke break. Diet Coke break.
sex,
to be no slave.
and togetherness. They even muscled in on Christmas. Today, the Coca-Cola Empire controls half of the global soft drinks market, with hundreds of our favourite brands. The Coca-Cola company sell a gargantuan 2.1 billion servings of their drinks every single day in more than 200 countries. It's no wonder the company is worth a staggering £211 billion. Coke is everywhere. Once you open your eyes to it, you can't unsee it.
So there were 4 places right as you came in that you could buy a Coke. One of them was like the meal deal section, and then there was also like a little offer on somewhere and a reduced to clear section. And then you come to the drinks section. There's like loads and loads of Coke products over here as well. I can't believe that I've never noticed how much we're being sold Coke. It was insane. It's clear that while we obviously love Coke, we're also definitely being sold it.
Coca-Cola spent a staggering $5 billion globally in 2023 to promote its brand. Coke's payments to supermarkets help shape our shopping aisles.
Think about somebody walking into a supermarket, and the first thing that they see might be a huge display of some branded soft drink. And straight away they get hit by that. They'll be encouraged to purchase by some sort of promotional offer that they see. All of this will be things that the supplier will invest money in trying to create. The more you sell people, the more they'll drink. You don't necessarily brush your teeth more often if you've got a cupboard full of toothpaste. But if you've got a cupboard full of soft drinks, you'll find that people will drink them more regularly, they'll consume more. Nobody makes money out of tap water. The retailers don't want it, the manufacturers don't want it, because nobody makes any profit out of that.
All of those sales equate to a lot of plastic bottles and cans being sold. In the UK, I've discovered that Coca-Cola bottling partners sell 2 billion plastic bottles every year. That's more than 3,000 bottles a minute, 200,000 every hour, over 5 million every single day. And that's just plastic bottles. Coke sell 2 billion cans a year as well, which have their own environmental impact.
We are drinking so much Coke.
But what's happening to all that empty packaging? I'm going to meet Lizzie Carr, the founder of a litter picking app that collects vital data on single-use plastic. So, have you been out there today?
Not yet, I've been waiting for you.
I'm a bit nervous.
Now you're going to paddle out and find some litter.
Okay. Look at that, I'm a pro.
Perfect.
It's so much dirtier than I thought it was going to be, and so much dirtier than it looks from the shore. I mean, we found quite a lot of plastic bottles, and I've noticed there's sort of some Fanta bottles, we found a Coke lid. Is that representative of the kind of stuff that you might find regularly?
Yeah, unfortunately, when you're on the water, everything is magnified. You see it from a very unique perspective. What we have found is since 2019, when we started recording data, the most polluting brand has been Coca-Cola every year.
Wow, every year?
Yeah. So what we're finding in the UK through our data is really just a microcosm of a much bigger problem on a much bigger scale.
It's not just Planet Patrol's survey. A global team of researchers who counted over 1.8 million pieces of litter found that Coca-Cola was the largest contributor to plastic waste. Coke's litter alone accounted for 11% of all the branded plastic litter worldwide, twice as much as their rival Pepsi. Coca-Cola clearly has a problem. I guess it's obvious. We drink a lot, I drink a lot, they produce a lot, but that does mean that there's a lot of rubbish. In the UK, I've estimated that 2 billion bottles a year is 65,000 tonnes of single-use plastic. When less than half of the plastic packaging we use ends up being recycled, Coke are responsible for a lot of waste. It wasn't always this way. Coke used to be sold in fountains, and then glass bottles, which were returned for a fee, washed and filled up again with Coke. So what happened?
Coca-Cola is getting around in big 2-litre plastic bottles these days. That's a lot of Coke and a lot of smiles.
In the 1970s, Coca-Cola proudly transitioned to plastic bottles. It was a revolution they were excited about. I've managed to track down a former executive at one of Coke's main British bottling plants, and he was actually there when they introduced the first plastic bottle.
I went to the bottling plant and I was shown these newfangled plastic bottles which didn't break.
How did plastic change business for Coca-Cola?
Quite dramatically in terms of the speed of operation of the bottling line.
And that must have increased profits, I suppose.
Oh, no question about it. Within months, the competitors, Pepsi, but also British manufacturers, they all changed. It was seen as a revolutionary change. Every company wanted to do what Coca-Cola had done.
Plastic's hardiness was profitable for Coke and others in the industry, but it also created a devastating waste problem. How do you feel looking back at your role in bringing plastic into Coca-Cola?
At the time, we thought it was a great idea. Now, sitting here, I'm disappointed that we didn't identify many of the problems earlier.
Coke now too admits that it needs to address plastic pollution. Failing to do so will harm the brand.
Our ability to grow depends on us doing business the right way, not just the easy way.
Coke has begun to associate itself with sustainability. It was the main sponsor for the UN's COP27 climate summit. Listening to Coca-Cola's CEO, it sounds like they're a part of the solution, not the problem.
Our world has a problem with packaging waste. We're working to help solve that problem.
Does Coca-Cola's promise to tackle the plastic waste it creates match reality? They said in 2017 that they want to recover and recycle every single can and bottle that they sell by 2030. So does that mean Coca-Cola are collecting all the bottles and cans they produce? In the UK, local councils pick up our waste, so I'm off to meet one of their representatives.
I've never been approached by Coca-Cola or any other company to do with helping us clean up the rubbish that they're profiting from. No one's told me that Coca-Cola has been proactive.
In the current system, who's responsible for picking up waste?
The local government association is 100% responsible. Packaging has been a real issue, especially plastic packaging. So we look forward to getting those that are producing it being more responsible for it. But at this moment in time, it's the people paying their council tax. Remember, for every penny we are spending on waste, actually we're not spending it on supporting people. And that's a real cost. That's a real cost to us as a society.
So these are Coke's most popular bottle sizes. They're 500 mils and they're designed to be drunk on the go. And when they're done, most people will bin them on the go like this. But where does it end up? We put a tracker in a bottle and dropped it in a street bin to find out. And what happens if you take it home to recycle? Coca-Cola Great Britain have suggested that bottles can be sent round in circles. They actually claim a plastic bottle that we put in our recycling in the UK can appear back on supermarket shelves in as little as 6 weeks. So I've got my bottle of Coke here, totally recyclable, so that includes the cap and the label. I'm gonna put that to the test and pop this in my recycling bin with a tracker in it to see if I can find out where it ends up. So the one we put in the public bin looks like it's gone to an incinerator, which means it will get burnt. I wonder if that's quite a common outcome.
In a public bin, what happens is we can't recycle, we will incinerate. And that is a real concern for all local authorities, because if we're burning, actually that's not good for the atmosphere. If we're placing into the ground, they won't biodegrade.
The local government association also told us that much of the content of public recycling bins is difficult to recycle and ends up being burnt too. So Coke is selling on-the-go recyclable bottles, despite the fact that there isn't always infrastructure to effectively recycle them if you bin them on the go. Hopefully the one I've put in my recycling has fared better. So the Coke bottle that I put in my recycling bin has been on a bit of a journey all over the UK. So it started off at a recycling centre near me, and then it made its way up to Birmingham and finally ended up in Sunderland. It's in a plastic recycling facility. It's quite reassuring, really, knowing that I put it in my recycling bin and it has ended up somewhere where it can be recycled. It said it was 100% recyclable, including the lid and the label. So, will it get turned into a new Coke bottle?
Whether or not something is recyclable is different than whether or not something is recycled. So we have a tendency to talk about sort of the potential fate of material instead of a realized fate. So the bottles, they're recycled into new bottles. The labels, you could make it into a label, it's technically possible, but it's never realized. The lids on the top, same thing, it's not happening because of a lot of the technical and logistical challenges of those processes. In any system, there's always degradation. So the imagined future where we can break the laws of physics and somehow get one bottle turning into another bottle, that doesn't exist.
It all seems quite away from what Coke are telling fans like me. The Competitions and Market Authority regulates competition in the UK, and in recent years has become increasingly concerned about claims brands make around sustainability.
We do know that plastic degrades and that it's not infinitely recyclable. So if you are pretending to consumers that the plastic bottle they are using can be recycled forever, then that probably would amount to a misleading claim and something we would be worried about. The overarching issue is that we're worried that the information that's being provided to consumers is misleading them and is painting a picture that some of these products are more environmentally friendly than they actually are.
Coca-Cola told us,
"We fully comply with the UK's world-leading approach to ensuring that consumer communications are not misleading. We're working to reduce the amount of plastic we use and are working with national and local governments to invest in the ongoing development of a successful and effective recycling industry. More than a decade ago, we invested to help build the UK's first bottle-to-bottle reprocessing plant. We have not used language relating to sending plastic round in circles in our marketing campaigns in Great Britain for several years."
In 2021, Coca-Cola made a breakthrough pledge about their best-selling bottle. All bottles 500ml or less in Great Britain are now made from 100% recycled plastic. Interestingly, the 500ml bottles are key to Coke's profits.
So I've noticed that the big bottles, this size, are so much, that size is so much cheaper than the small ones. It's like 20p per 100ml cheaper, which is kind of mad.
We found that in some cases, a 500ml bottle is being sold for £2, while in the same shop, the bigger 2-litre bottle is cheaper at £1.75.
The single-serve products effectively are more profitable. When you really need the convenience, you need the product, you need it now, then there's no telling how much money you'd pay for those.
So Coke are allocating 100% recycled content to their most profitable bottle.
Reading that these are 100% recycled does make me feel a bit better about buying plastic bottles.
And there's a reason for that.
The use of the number 100% triggers what's known as a round number bias, which is really well evidenced in behavioural sciences literature. It's a powerful technique for selling products to consumers.
I've discovered Coke knows something compelling about fans like me and what we're prepared to pay.
So I've managed to get hold of a recording of the Chief Financial Officer of the bottlers who handle Coke for us in the UK. He's talking to investors and sharing some insights, and what he says is really interesting.
A consumer is willing to pay for a product that actually differentiates itself from competition in terms of the sustainability credentials.
So essentially what he's saying is that customers are willing to pay more for products that are sustainable.
I am 100% recycled plastic bottle.
Yeah, like seeing this would make me think, okay.
I'd definitely pick something that's made from like recycled products or sustainable products over something that's not. If it's labelled on there, I'd rather go for that.
Is Coke using 100% recycled as part of a marketing strategy to encourage customers like me to buy their most profitable bottle? Coca-Cola told us,
we are in the process of rolling out 100% rPET across our whole portfolio in Great Britain. 500ml bottles represent the largest share, so transitioning these products first was the most impactful place to start.
Coming up, we discover just how big Coke's thirst for water is.
We're probably looking at about 25 billion metres cubed a year of water. And probably the same amount of water is abstracted annually in a country like France or Italy.
And the impact this has on communities who live near Coke bottling plants.
It's really affecting our way of living. There are times that you are tired, you don't have even a drop of water in the house.
I'm finding out about the environmental impact of my favourite drink, Coca-Cola.
There's so much hype around Coke's secret recipe that it's easy to forget the main ingredient is actually water.
And that means manufacturing Coca-Cola is thirsty business.
And if you think of the total water use of the company, the figures get very large. So we're probably looking at about 25 billion metres cubed a year of water. Probably the same amount of water is abstracted annually in a country like France or Italy. So really big figures.
So how much water is needed to produce this bottle of Coke?
Okay, to produce a bottle of Coke like that, based on Coke's analysis, takes 35 litres of water. So that would include the water required to irrigate sugar, to produce the packaging in the plastic bottle, and of course to put the Coke in the bottle and to clean up in the factory. This is the amount of water that is used to produce this amount of Coke.
Coca-Cola disputed these figures. They told us,
the water usage figure quoted is not correct. It is extrapolated from limited data from one product SKU in one European country from over 15 years ago. It is not an accurate reflection of our freshwater use. It is very difficult to accurately measure total water footprint covering all operations and supply chains globally.
1/3 of Coca-Cola's bottling plants operate in water-stressed areas. Yet Coke boast about their sustainable approach to water across their websites. They say, for every drop of water we use, we give one back. And unlike plastic, it sounds like they're managing to exceed their goals. They say, we have replenished more than 100% of the water used in our finished beverages every year since 2015. All of these pledges give the impression that Coke are using water in a sustainable way. But is that really the case? So I'm having a look at the small print of Coke's sustainability report, and it says that they only replenish the water that's used in their drinks, but they're not replenishing the water that's used to grow the sugar or manufacture the plastic. So they're only replenishing the amount of water that's actually inside the bottle and not the total amount needed to create that bottle.
Spot on.
And how does that work? How do you replenish water?
Well, it's a difficult idea because you can't just make it rain. So really, replenishment is a flawed idea. Water use happens in a time and a place, and it would require Coke to immediately replace the same volume of water, the same quality at the same place for them to truly replenish.
And are they the same communities that the water is being taken out of?
That's part of the problem, that they are not.
So you could have an area next to a Coca-Cola bottling plant which suffers from water shortages, and the replenishment would be happening somewhere totally different.
Precisely, that's exactly what happens.
Water scarcity isn't something we talk about a lot in the UK. But Coke's huge thirst for water is a big problem in some communities. Welcome to Malawi. Coca-Cola has been sold here since 1955. It's produced by Coca-Cola Beverages Africa, majority owned by the Coca-Cola company itself. This enormous bottling plant in the city of Blantyre is one of two supplying Malawi. 20,000 cases of Coca-Cola are produced here every day. Such intense production is having a big impact on the communities around the plant. Josephine Chinella is a journalist who lives a few hundred metres from the plant. She's agreed to help me investigate.
This neighborhood is the worst hit by the water shortages. It's become part of our life, like to live without water. There's no water again for these blades that have just been used. We have had no water for some days now. It's around 8 a.m. Just have to find a way to ensure that we use the toilet using water.
When the taps run dry, locals resort to boreholes. But a study last year found 3/4 of boreholes like this in Malawi produced water unfit for human consumption, putting them at risk of diseases like cholera. While water cuts are all too common for residents, the same isn't true for Coca-Cola. We talked to a number of workers at the bottling plant. They say it's continuously operational, even when locals don't have water, thanks to huge pipes and industrial water tanks. They also told us that the water Coke uses comes from the same source that residents rely on. A worker from the Blantyre Water Board agreed to speak anonymously.
Company manager imatha kugulisa ntchito madzi mwina atitha kuyerekeza kuti kuchokera mu range ya 1,000 to 2,000 cubic meters. Amagulisa ntchito madzi ochuluka kwambiri compared to ma consumer ena amene ali mbali imeneyoyo. So being kuti iyeyo akutenga mwina madzi ochuluka kwambiri ngazimapezeka kuti bezi kupanga affect anthu ena amene andikira adera ngati limenelo kuti nawonso alandire madzi kumakhala kovutirako pang'ono.
That's very different to the message Coca-Cola are putting out. And there's more. So Coke say that women and girls are prioritised when it comes to water.
We aim to enhance community water access and resilience with a focus on women and girls, as they are often the most affected by water scarcity and sanitation challenges.
Josephine and her neighbours have never received a drop of water from Coca-Cola.
These 5 jerry cans, I use them for cooking. And then for this one, for washing clothes, doing laundry and bathing. It's a small space, of course, and it doesn't look presentable because our kitchens are loaded with water storage. It's really affecting our way of living. There are times that you are tired, you don't have even a drop of water. You don't have even a drop of water in the house. What do? We are forced to get out of this community and go somewhere to help ourselves. Yeah, it's really affecting us in a negative way. Is Coca-Cola helpful? No, they're not helpful because if they were, we wouldn't be having this problem.
How has it made you feel finding all of this out?
Really, I'm like, why? Coca-Cola company uses a lot of water, but as the local residents, just 100 meters to the plant, they just wake up to find no water. What is it that you're going to do to my community to ensure that we don't have shortages anymore.
Coca-Cola told us,
we have a responsibility to help protect local water resources. We recognise that water use within our agriculture supply chain accounts for the vast majority of the surface water and groundwater consumed in the production of our beverages. Recognising the hyper-local context of water, we have introduced several additional goals in order to help us replenish water in the same basin. Water is a priority for the Coca-Cola system in Africa. We engage communities where we operate for collaborative solutions.
Since becoming a mum, I've been really conscious of what the world's going to be like when my little one grows up. Making this film has definitely made me think about how much Coke I drink. Look, there's obviously loads that we can do as consumers to change our habits, but I think that there is a responsibility on Coca-Cola as well. They're the ones producing the product, they're the ones profiting off it, and I think they do need to do better.